I would like to call to order the March 21st, 2022 Cabarrus County Board of Commissioners regular meeting. Welcome, everyone. It's good to see such a big crowd in the chambers tonight. If you would please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First up is the approval or correction of the minutes. And Commissioners, you all have a copy of those before you. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes as presented, or are there any corrections? All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Next up is approval of the agenda. You also have a copy of that before you. So do I hear a motion to approve the meeting agenda, including the changes on page 39? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. And we move to recognitions and presentations. First up is a proclamation for National County Government Month, April 2022. And I will read that proclamation now. A National County Government Month, April 2022, Counties Thrive. Whereas the nation's 3,069 counties, serving more than 315 million Americans, provide essential services to create healthy, safe, and vibrant communities. And whereas counties provide health services, administer justice, keep communities safe, foster economic opportunities, and much more. And whereas Cabarrus County and all counties take pride in our responsibility to protect and enhance the health, well-being, and safety of our residents in efficient and cost-effective ways. And whereas under the leadership of the National Association of Counties, President Larry Johnson, NACO is demonstrating how counties thrive, especially in supporting residents and businesses during the coronavirus pandemic. And whereas each year since 1991, the National Association of Counties has encouraged counties across the country to elevate awareness of county responsibilities, programs, and services. And now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners for Cabarrus County, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim April 2022 as National County Government Month and encourage all county officials, employees, schools, and residents to participate in county government celebration activities. Do I hear a motion to adopt this proclamation as presented?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. And we move now to a proclamation for National Donate Life Month, April 2022. I think, as most all of you know, Commissioner Hsu is a double recipient of an organ transplant, so he will bring that proclamation to us tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Proclamation, National Donate Life Month 2022. Whereas more than 106,644 men, women, and children in the United States currently need life-saving organ transplants, and more than 3,343 of those people are North Carolinians. And whereas an average of 20 people awaiting transplants die each day because there is a severe shortage of donated organs. And whereas every 10 minutes, another name is added to the national transplant list, waiting list. And whereas providing facts about donation and dispelling misinformation and myths are key to increasing the number of people who sign up as donors. And whereas the North Carolina Division of Motor Vehicles, NCDMV, plays a critical role with over 5 million North Carolinians in the state's donor registry having registered when receiving a driver's license or a state ID card. And whereas one organ donor can save the lives of up to 8 people and improve many more lives through tissue and cornea donation. And whereas North Carolinians are encouraged to get the facts about donation, discuss their wishes with their family, and sign up as donors via the NCDMV or online at www.donatelifenc.org/register. And whereas residents of Cabarrus County have been touched by donation as recipients of life-saving transplants, and as many as members of donor families who have literally given others a second chance at life. And now be it proclaimed that we, the members of the Cabarrus Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2022 to be National Donate Life Month. In Cabarrus County, and urge our residents to give serious thought to the importance of eye, organ, and tissue donation, and to consider joining the North Carolina Donor Registry, and further to notify their family members that they have done so. Adopted this 15th day of March, 2022. Signed, Stephen Morris, Chairman, Commissioner of the Board of Commissioners. And as Chairman Morris said, a lot of you know me, have known me, and currently I'm one of the oldest, not in actual age, but the oldest number of years after survival of a heart transplant. This November will be 27 years since I had the heart transplant. And my heart came from a 17-year-old boy from Michigan. And you can just imagine, that little feller has gone back to the dust of the earth, but yet I still live today because of his donation. And then, not long after that, the medicines, which is literally handfuls of medicines that I take daily, even to this day, to keep from rejecting that organ, well, it killed my kidneys. So I went right into kidney failure for 7 years. And guess what? My next door neighbor gave me a kidney. And if people knew how simple it is to save a life, you give a kidney, you can function with one normal as one with two. And she's doing good today. We still neighbors. And it's been 20 years since she gave me a kidney. And there's a lot of things I could be doing, but I enjoy doing this. And National Donate Life Month means something to me. And I hope because of this being a proclamation again in Cabarrus County, we do this every year. I hope that we'll be able to, but the board agrees, that we'll fly a flag, a National Donate Life flag out in front of the Government Center for the month of April. And so if you haven't become an organ tissue donor, I would like to encourage you to do that because it's so rewarding, and I'm evidence of that. And so with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve this proclamation.
Thank you, Commissioner Shue. Do I hear a second to that motion? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I can think of no greater testimonial than the one that you just gave. If that doesn't truly touch people and make them aware of the importance, I don't think anything would. So thank you very much for that. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. And we move now to informal public comments. I have several cards here. Our clerk, repeat this, what I normally say. She typically numbers these cards as they come up, and we call on folks in the order that the cards were presented. You have 3 minutes for informal public comments. We ask that everybody approach the podium, speak into the microphone so that the folks at home can hear your comments. When the timer goes off, that means the 3 minutes are up, and we ask you to finish that sentence and give time for the next person that wishes to speak. So our first comment tonight is from Dan Marshall.
It was good to see many of you on Saturday, and thank you for allowing me to be here this evening. My name is Dan Marshall. I represent the local government branch of Capital Ministries. My ministry is to serve those who serve in government by praying for them, listening to them, and encouraging them. First of all, I thank each one of you for choosing to serve our community. Serving in a governing role is a special calling. It's demanding of your time, your abilities, and at times, your patience. On occasion, it can require having a thick skin. Each one of you have taken on a serious responsibility. You are accountable before God and the citizens of Cabarrus County to serve with diligence, integrity, and humility. Further, your duties to our community are in addition to your other roles. In your family, your business, showing movies, your church, and your neighborhood. Therefore, the citizens who you serve should be ready to encourage you when needed. As a resident of Concord, I have a responsibility to each of you. As part of fulfilling my responsibility, I volunteer with Capital Ministries. I provided a brochure for each one of you that gives more details of who we are, why we serve, and what we do. I have left them with Ms. Linker. My contact information is attached to each brochure. I look forward to meeting with you in the future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And our next speaker is Greg Crawford.
Hello. Thank you, Commissioner Steve Morris and fellow commissioners. I'm Greg Crawford. I'm a Cabarrus County resident, and I'm currently a board member of the Cabarrus County Education Foundation. And my wife and family are third-generation Cabarrus County School graduates, with my son graduating this year from Northwest Cabarrus High School, and he's in the STEM program and a Career College Promise program. So not only am I a board member of Cabarrus County Education Foundation, but also I'm a working board member, volunteering 2 hours a week at Wolf Mill Elementary, along with 5 other community volunteers on Tuesday and Thursday mornings at the Reading Plus Mentoring for Success program. We spend one-on-one time with students, building relationships, which allows for great growth in reading skills to occur. We have a total of 21 students with 24 community volunteers working in the program. The total impact at the 2 schools is 1,177 students. The first grade student that I am mentoring in the mentoring program since starting in January of 2022 has made remarkable progress. From reading very basics, can now do the following. After reading the book, the student can tell the subject, main characters in the beginning, middle, and the end result of the book, plus draw pictures describing what happened in the book. The student began writing 3 to 4 words in a sentence at the start of the program. And just last week, before the 2-week break, is now writing sentences 7 to 8 words in length, with new words being added to the vocabulary. Teachers here have indicated there is no way they have time to help these individual students get to 3rd grade reading level without additional support. Teachers see tremendous progress in their reading as well as their social skills. I'm here to tell you this program is needing to continue. Cabarrus County Education Foundation funded the first year's program out of its own funds raised because of the need. We started at 2 schools, Wolf Meadow and Rocky River Elementary, even in a COVID year. We want to continue the program for a full year, 2022 and 2023, and then expand it as follows. Expand to 4 schools in 23-24, and expand to 7 schools, 24-25. We were asking for funds from the fiscal recovery funds as follows. 22-23 school year, $85,650, serving 72 students with 110 volunteers, 2 schools. 23-24, $196,100, 150 students served with 225 volunteers at 4 schools. For more details, the information was mailed to Rodney Harris and the manager's office on March 11, 2022, or you can see me. I'll give you details. I also have details on the budgets for the next 3 years that you can take a look at as well. Failure to meet these needs will result lifelong consequences: lower graduation rates, twice the likelihood of living in poverty, 50% more likely to be unemployed, and annual earnings less than $10,000 less than those of high school graduates. Only 26% of students can now read reading, but 30% will never catch up. Please make a difference and participate. Come with me and see what difference it makes in our Cabarrus County schools. I thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jerry Anderson.
On April 9, 2016, DSS in Cabarrus County did a legal kidnapping, a child grab from my house. Police came with lights flashing, and two of the nastiest people that work at DSS came, and they wasn't concerned. The only thing I can find out about Mike Downs' investigation is they took her for neglect. These DSS workers didn't even ask, "Are you okay? Are you hungry?" They wasn't even concerned about that. They was concerned about taking her where her clothes was and where her homework was. Now, the investigation that Mike Downs put on Mr. Cock here, when I talked to him, I knew his medical was in his way. He was angry on the phone for having to talk to me. And David Goldberg went on vacation. This is a child's life that's gone. My mental child that was first there is dead. And all because they took a child illegally. And if they could tell me with the investigation they did why they come and took my child, I'd be happy. But they had me out here protesting. They had me up here every council meeting telling you shouldn't have locked your doors, that y'all took her illegally. Now, was it intentionally? I don't know. A poor mental woman with a black child might have been easy, you know? They knocked me out as guardianship. David Goldberg said I wasn't guardian. Well, they gave me federal money to be over my child for her welfare. I took care of her. I'm the one that went to DSS for my child, not my grandchild that was taken. My grandchild was normal. Anyway, was it intentional? They tried her 3 times without a defense. I mean, tried a mental child. She didn't have nobody over there. She didn't know how to get nobody over there on her side. Tried her 3 times. Where's ethics at in that courtroom, Jay White? Jay White should have told somebody he needed somebody over there to defend that child. But no, he took her child 3 times straight. I tell you, I got 3 minutes to tell a whole bunch, but DSS been involved with our family, all my child's life, Erica, the one that died, and they never sought to take nobody from my family, except right here when these DSS workers, inexperienced, no family. Anyway, I got one more thing to say. Please let me say this. Mike Downs not giving us an answer makes me think all kind of things. You being a budget director with money, being involved with kids and that building over there across the street, you didn't take my child for money, did you? I hope not.
Thank you, sir. Okay, our next speaker is Jeter Anderson. How y'all doing?
Jay White did intentionally hurt my sister. Jay White intentionally hurt my sister and she died. No, it wasn't with a gun or a knife or a car. It was with his job, his power, with his position. Jay White and 2 DSS workers attacked this helpless child for her child inside a court, Judge Christy Wilhelm's court. What I witnessed that happened in that courtroom was really horrific. It's sad, uncomfortable, and demoralizing, inhumane, wicked. It was like someone unleashed their pit bulls on my sister to maul her while I had to watch and wasn't allowed to help. My poor beat-up sister looking towards me, wondering why I'm not helping. It's because I done tried and got threatened to be kicked out. My sister was upset. Me or my dad didn't get Jada or couldn't help. What happened, a professional, and no, I don't mean a professional candy eater. This is someone who uses their words to beat, hit, hurt, bend over you, and attack you. He's paid to do this. He's paid to attack individuals. Everyone should be entitled to a defense. Mike Downs, maybe that's how she died, being attacked, no defense. It definitely hurt her really bad, and DSS continued to attack until she passed. Mike Downs allows this. Mike Downs also takes kids wrongly. Why is that I can say this, that Jay White hurt my sister? And why is it a problem? It can't be fixed. It's because David Goldberg, right over there, standing by the blue flag, David Goldberg is standing in the way of justice. David Goldberg knows my sister's a helpless child and couldn't assist with the attorneys you said she had. Ask him. She couldn't assist with them. He should have asked that in the so-called investigation. To take a child away for it, you would need a reason. David Goldberg called it neglect. I have proof, video, other evidence, no neglect. So give her back, or a valid reason, because that's kidnapped and illegal taking of a child. That also means David Goldberg is standing in the way of justice of a child. Bottom line, Erica Sue Anderson never should have been persecuted. Me or my father should have been the ones persecuted.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Bishop Roland Jordan.
Good evening, Mr. Commissioner, Mr. Mike Downs, County Commissioner, and lawyer and all, and the citizens of Cabarrus County. I greet you in Jesus Christ's name. I stay at 134 Lowell Street, Concord, North Carolina. I'm a prophet. I travel to help all people, but mostly black people, because that's who I am. I'm like James Brown. I'm black and I'm proud. But if you white and proud, be happy. And I thank God for everybody, because God made us equal. But black people's on the back burner. But now, God done raised a leader to put them on the front burner. But I come with you some issues tonight concerning my senior citizen. They say 7 years, if they're in a nursing home, they take their house. No, that's not fair. You know, something needs to be done about it. I called Mr. Commissioner today, and I'll be doing some more calling. And our veteran, when the spouse die, the husband, they stop the pension. But the marriage for the be is one. So why should they stop the pension if they get married again? That's a problem. You know, I see poor white people out there in the street because she's not getting a pension from her husband because of that law. That law needs to be changed, praise God. If I get a chance, I'll go to the White House and let them know it, because I already talked to my God and your God, if you believe. He would do something about it, praise God. Bible Scotia College, black college, but we take white people, Mexican, anybody who want to come. Need support. We thank God for your fire department. They really turned out in numbers. I was surprised. Police department didn't come. Sheriff department didn't come. I think he was out of town. I got a beef with your police chief. Sure, he's not my friend. I ain't his friend. But when God say love, I love him not until then. But I will forgive. Praise God. And I heard the man just not say, talking about taking these kids. Praise God. If it's true, that's wrong. You should be punished for it. You might not be punished here on earth, but I guarantee you're going to be punished when you meet Jesus Christ, when you stand before him. Yes, his Bible is true. I don't do everything the Lord say, but I do my best to fulfill this obligation. May God bless you and have upon you and give you peace.
Thank you. And that concludes all of the cards that I have for informal public comments. I do have quite a few cards for one of our public hearings later on, so if there's anybody that filled out a card and I got it in the wrong stack, let me know now. So I don't see anybody's hand, so I think we're good. So we move now to old business, and first up is our solid waste ordinance, and we're happy to have Kevin Grant to speak on that topic.
Yes, good evening, everyone. This is the second reading of the ordinance acknowledging the renewal of the solid waste collection and disposal franchise agreement with Republic Services that would begin on January 1st, 2023 and expire December 31st, 2027. As I mentioned, Republic Services has expressed the desire to renew this contract, and we are recommending that we do so as well. This does involve the collection of trash and recycling for unincorporated residents of Cabarrus County if they so choose. This also allows us to dispose of residential trash at the Charlotte Motor Speedway landfill for preferred disposal fee. And we've discussed this last month. If you want, I can any questions or concerns going forward, or if we need refreshing of what we discussed last month.
Any questions for Mr. Grant? I think we've talked about it quite a lot over several work sessions and meetings. So if there are no questions, I would at this time entertain a motion to adopt the second reading of the ordinance acknowledging the renewal of the solid waste collection and disposal franchise agreement through December 31st, 2027. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say no. That motion passes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, we move now to the consent agenda. These are all items that we have discussed in detail at our work session 2 weeks ago. There are actually 18 of them on this list. Do I hear a motion that we adopt the consent agenda as presented? Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. And we move now to new business. First up is a public hearing for a public-private partnership for library and senior center. And prior to that, Deputy County Manager Rodney Harris will give us some background.
And I can be brief, as we discussed this 2 weeks ago as well, but this is to allow us to enter into a public-private partnership with CK Lake Point, also known as Childress Klein, to build a 40,000 square foot library adjacent to the Afton Ridge area. And so this would be a 20-year term of a lease, but we intend to purchase this facility after the first 2 years.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Harris? Okay, commissioners, what would be, well, first of all, we have to have the public hearing. So at this time, I'll open the public hearing on this matter and invite anyone to the podium that wishes to speak. Okay, seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. And commissioners, what would be your pleasure on this item?
I will make a motion to authorize the county manager to negotiate and execute a development contract consistent with the provided general terms between Cabarrus County and CK Lake Point Corporate Center, Childress Klein, subject to review or revisions by the county attorney and completion of the required 30-day notice period and approval by the local government commission if necessary.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? I will say that this is an item that we've been discussing for quite some time, so I'm very pleased to see us be able to move forward and provide these additional services in that area of the county. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. And we move now to item 2, which is debt refunding of limited obligation bonds. We will have a public hearing on that item as well, but first we will hear from Finance Director Wendy Hagler.
Hello. As required by North Carolina General Statutes 168-20, we're required to have a public hearing for the installment financing contracts to refund our limited obligation bonds. This will make our first draw program permanent debt. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I always get a little bit confused when you say refund, and I think of refunds, but you actually mean to refund, to change the way we refinance.
Refinance, yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure I had it right. Any other questions? All right, thank you. So at this time, I will open the public hearing and invite anyone to the podium that would like to speak on this matter. Okay, seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. And I think that one does not require, it does require a motion.
Yes, we need one more public hearing.
One more public hearing on the same item.
Well,
Okay.
on the next agenda item.
All right, so we move to the next item, installment financing contract, and Wendy will talk about that, and then we'll have a public hearing on that item as well.
The county plans to enter into an installment financing contract or our new drawdown program, and this will fund various school and county projects. As stated before, North Carolina General Statutes 168-20 requires us to have a public hearing on the installment financing contracts. And I'll be happy to answer any questions, and this amount is up to $160 million.
Okay, questions for Ms. Hagler? Okay, hearing none, I will open the public hearing and invite anyone to the podium that would like to speak on this matter. Okay, seeing no one, we will close the public hearing. And my notes do not call for a motion on this item tonight. Is that correct, Wendy? All right, thank you. Okay, we move to the next item, and this will be regarding the fire study and fire district boundary modifications. And prior to opening the public hearing, we will hear from Fire Marshal Jacob Thompson. Welcome.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Commissioners, for having everybody here tonight. As you can see by the room behind me, it's a very passionate subject a lot of people care a lot about. And so we want to make sure that we take our time and make good, valid decisions about what we're doing here. So I don't want to take up a lot of time because we do have a lot of people who want to speak, but I did want to hit the highlights of why we're here to give context for those that may not be aware. So as you know, the fire study was completed and presented in September of 2020. The purpose of that fire study was to look at the county, to make recommendations by a third party on things that we can do to improve our service to our citizens concerning fire protection. So when that study looks at the county, they look at multiple facets, but as a county evaluation as a whole, part of those recommendations may focus in on one part of the county, but again, it was a whole county look. So with that being said, kind of the timeline that took place with the fire study is that the original third party that completed the study brought that to the county for presentation in September 2020. COVID did a little bit delaying for us like it did in most things. And so it wasn't until the spring or in March of 2021 when we really got rolling on some of these recommendations. One of those recommendations being a closest station response. That being said, and again, an explanation on that is just ensuring each parcel falls within the corresponding closest fire station or closest district. With that, there are some properties that currently are not there, and so what that requires would be to realign the district boundaries to where each of those parcels fall within the closest fire station's district. So November 2021, we brought the recommendation to you guys just as a general update of kind of some of the recommendations. We tied that with also the recommendation for the service district that's separate from this, but as an update. And then in February, of course, last month, we brought it to you guys as a formal recommendation. So as we took this on, again, the purpose behind this is life-saving measures. It's more complicated than anybody could ever imagine in the depth of how deep it goes. But at the surface, the reason why we're looking at this is life-saving measures. We want to make sure that we're doing the best that we can to get our fire stations and our citizens, the closest fire station, get the closest unit on the scene as quick as we can and shave some time off of that response. That is simply what this is. So the way that we done this and the process that we took as we looked at this is we took, with GIS's help, we took and centered each fire district. We looked at what is the distance between each fire station to where that middle point falls between those fire districts. Regardless of the fire station's ability over one or another, or one department being better than another, or one having more money than another, it is simply we looked at who is closest. And so GIS helped us out by making some preliminary maps. We sat down with the fire districts in a room together, everybody in the same room. We took a scale wheel on a map, found the center point between every district, and that's where we drew the district line. That recommendation, of course, was formalized by GIS, and that's what we brought to you guys last month. We want to make sure, again, that those citizens are getting life-saving measures, the best that we can do as a county to make sure that that provision is in place. So again, and I'll touch on this as well, the recommendation that's coming to you tonight is for a particular part of the county. It touches 5 districts is the particular part that we're talking about tonight. And again, there's such a large, hefty portion that's here that the recommendation was to look at this countywide, but we wanted to go ahead and try to touch on this. The map that's on the screen shows the proposal as is presented to the commissioners. So again, why is it needed? We have some areas that have discrepancies of up to a 2.5-minute response time difference, and there's huge disparities here. It simply comes down to who's closest, who can access our citizens the fastest. So tonight we would implore the board to open a public hearing for the proposed fire district changes, or as the Emergency Management and Fire Services Department, and as through the fire study, the proposal and the recommendation will be to adopt the proposed changes. Again, I wish that there was a way that we could find a dividing line between the districts and everybody come out with an equal amount of money, but that's just not the hand that we're dealt. It's not one department over another. It's not one person being able to provide a better service than another. It is simply where the middle line is between each fire station. So, any questions before the public hearing? All right, thank you guys.
Thank you. Okay, as was mentioned, we do have a public hearing on this item. Before we start that, I did want to mention that in our notice of this meeting, it was noticed as a hybrid meeting, which allowed for virtual participants as well. And of course, like all of our meetings, this is being telecast live on our YouTube channel and Channel 22 and other places as well. But it does provide the opportunity for people to call in if they notice in advance, and also to send in written comments in advance. And so I wanted to mention that I do have 2 written comments that were received by our clerk today. Both of those are in favor of approving the fire district changes. So if they're both quite lengthy, so I will not read them unless somebody requests the full reading of that. And then I'll also ask our clerk if anybody has called in to ask for the ability to speak during the public hearing. Very good, thank you. And so at this time, I will open the public hearing, and I will call folks forward in the order that their cards were submitted. First is Marcia Green.
Thank you for having us in here and hearing our comments. I'm Marcia Green, and I've lived in Pioneer Mill, which is the currently Flow Store Fire District. We've been there for about 50 years, the family has. And I'm here primarily to say that I support the line changes, and mostly because Midland Fire Department already has a second fire station that is closer to our house than Flow Store is. And that station is fully staffed and will be fully staffed with all the apparatus that it needs to take care of our area. And our area is the one that's most in question as far as the Flow Store Fire Department is concerned. They proposed to put in a second station on our road, but it hasn't been approved yet, and it hasn't been zoned for a fire department yet. And I just think that that's they're mismanaging funds that way. And so I'd like to see the area that we're in continue to be protected by Midland.
Great. Thank you. Okay, and our next speaker is Brendan Green.
That was my mom there. My name is Brendan Green. I'm currently in the Flow Store Fire District. Like she said, we're within 5 miles of Midland Station 2, which was built back in 2008, I believe. She touched on Flow Store purchasing a residence on our road for $550,000 that now the taxpayers are responsible for if it doesn't get approved or doesn't even become a station. So that would be coming out of our pockets. They plan to raise taxes to staff this station, from what I've seen. Yeah, we're already in the 5 mile range for the fire study. I think she hit on everything else, but
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next is Chris Schaefer.
Good evening. So, my name is Chris Schaefer. I am a firefighter with Flow Store. I also live in Flow Store's area. I'm requesting that you as a board reconsider this redistricting. It's my opinion that you've been fed one-sided information based only on outliers and data purposely selected to benefit certain parties. Flow Store has attempted numerous times to provide the accurate information, only for that information to be immediately ignored or pushed aside. Flow Store as a department is not opposed to changes, however, we are opposed to these changes. There are other options that should be considered that will not result in a raise of taxes or involve moving the district lines. For example, Flow Store, as the Greens have mentioned, has purchased a property that we intend to use as a second station. However, when we approached the county with our intents about that, we were met with unimaginable pushback. If being able to better serve the population is the #1 goal, why are they pushing back so hard on letting us open the second station to provide better coverage without raising the taxes? We have worked out the budget as a department, and we've worked it out in the best we can to keep from raising taxes, because Flow Store has always had the best interest of the taxpayers in mind. As a member and a taxpayer, as I just said, I feel the financial impact on the citizens will far outweigh an improvement in service. Flow Store's proposed budget year for next year without changes is $592,000 thereabout. If these changes were to go into effect, Flow Store's proposed budget for next year would reduce to $265,000. Flow Store's current costs of operations, staffing, payroll, and insurance are approximately $279,000. As a taxpayer in the area, I do not feel that it is fair that I should have to make up that $14,000 difference, especially when there are services and stations already in place. So again, I ask, why so much pushback if the ultimate goal is better service and we're trying to provide that, yet we can't get anywhere when we try? As I'm sure you are all aware as Board of Commissioners, this year is an election year. And do you really think that unnecessarily raising people's taxes is going to give you guys a positive image in the eyes of your voters? Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Anthony Meismer.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Anthony Messina. I'm the Board Vice President as well as a Lieutenant at Flow Store Fire Department. I'm here obviously to talk about the redistricting. I want to hit on two big points. First is Flow Store's proposed second station, and second is the current and future tax rates of the proposed areas in the remaining district. Let's get into it. First, Flow Store's second station. There are a lot of rumors about this property. First, this property is not putting Flow Store Fire Department into financial jeopardy. The board and the fire chief have the utmost respect and consideration for the money our taxpayers provide us. Second, this will not be an extravagant station. It is a current house that's going to be used as a living facility as well as a metal building in the back to house the trucks. Now that it is out of the way, what I would like to say is this property is doing for Flow Store. This property is going to drastically improve our response times as well as lower the rest of our ISO rating. So essentially, this station would fix the redistricting issues we're seeing tonight for the majority of the area without raising the tax rate, all while considerably improving the response times for our fantastic record. On to the second point, tax rates. Flow Store's current tax rate is 7 cents for every $100. Midlands is 10 cents, and Harrisburg's is a whopping 15 cents, the highest you can be. Even if you were to take out our proposed second station from the equation, the current response times do not justify increasing so many people's taxes. Not only would this increase the taxes for the proposed areas, but it would also increase the taxes for the unaffected areas, as we would need more funding to continue staffing at our current level. Flow Store's budget for next year, with no changes, is the same as Chris Schaefer before me has said. The cost for staffing, taxes, insurance for this current year is $279,000. As you can see from his numbers, the numbers didn't add up. We'd have to do something. So with this called solution that is being proposed, everyone ends up losing. And for what? A response time improvement of less than maybe 30 seconds, 50% of the time? So please look and listen to the information being shared with you. Take the time to get the information straight from the source and make a fully informed decision based off of that, not just what you're being told. Thank you.
Thank you, and I apologize for butchering your name. Yeah. Our next speaker is Peter Sabo.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Peter Sabo, and I live in the Cedar Vale Farm neighborhood. My house is 3.5 miles from Flow Store Fire Department and 1.7 miles from the Midland Station 2. I come before you to speak on the fire redistricting issue. I understand that the decision before you is based on the recommendation of an independent study done in 2020, and the recommendation is based solely on placing every house property to its closest fire station. If this is the sole criteria, then I don't see how you can vote against the redistricting. I ask that you accept the redistricting as recommended by the study and the fire marshal. Bottom line is we're talking about saving lives and structures, and I can't think of anything more important than that. I'm sure that saving lives are first and foremost the reason why each of these brave men and women joined the profession. One of the concerns that has been brought up by the community are the tax rates for those being moved between the districts. Having spoken to both departments about current organization and plans for the future, I see value in the extra approximately $150 that I would pay by moving to Midland 2. I understand Flow Store recently purchased the property and plan to make it into a fire station, which at best could be 6 months out and over a year before they have somebody permanently there 24/27. If I'm going to be spending money on a tax, I see value in being put into a professional fire station and not a house that's refurbished. spending 29 years in the Army, that's something I would have done deployed overseas. That shouldn't be something that we do here. If we're going to be spending money, we should be spending money on a professional building. In 1980, the population for Cabarrus County was 85,000. In 2020, we're 225,000 plus. To me, the way the fire districts are done, it's not set up the way that we should be. Nobody's overseeing it. Nobody's understanding how it is. You're being asked to vote on one specific thing, but there are second, third, fourth order effects that weren't even taken into consideration. And I think that's where this whole study is falling short. While all these firefighters are great servants of the community, and this is not about their dedication, they prove how dedicated they are when they respond to every call. This is making sure that the county has districts to meet getting property to their closest fire station. Again, I support the recommendation to change the fire district boundaries, as it will bring the properties to their closest fire station. I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Next speaker is Michael Connor.
Thank you all. As you said, I'm Michael Connor, retired fire department personnel, 36 years in Maryland. Most of that is a career fire officer. I help out at the Flow Store Volunteer Department on their board of directors as their secretary right now. I do this free of charge just to help them. But I speak tonight as a resident of Porter's Landing. I have looked at the recommended study. I've seen the validity of much of it. I've seen problems with some of it. One of the problems that I greatly see is a vast reduction in the Flow Store income. Bottom line, all of a sudden we're going to take away a very large area. Based on mileage, you can't deny that is a great problem. What I want is somebody to step back and look, what are we going to do for Flow Store if this goes through? You are going to cut out a huge amount of their budget. What happens if they can't make it? What are we going to do when the Flow Store Fire Department closes its doors? Midland is it appears to be a very good department. They would now be taking on 700-800 new homes, plus over 1,100 home community, which is going to be built very shortly. That's 1,900 new homes that they are going to be taking responsibility for. Fine. That's 1,800 more chances that their station will be out on a call when I need them. If worse comes to worse and Flow Store is no longer there, or even if they're just put in a drastically reduced amount, who's going to come to my house when I have a heart attack? Who's going to come when my neighbors need it? Who's going to be that second engine? I can't give you a problem without asking for a solution, and I don't have the solution, but I am asking that as this motion is put forward to accept this, that time be taken to see what can be done funding-wise to take care of the fire stations that are going to have their funding greatly reduced. We need to be able to support them, and the answer is not saying all of a sudden, okay, Flow Store double or triple the amount of fire tax. That's irrational. That's not, to go from 7 cents to 15 to help make up a shortfall, that isn't the answer. But I'm just asking you, before you vote on it, to think about what can we do for these stations, especially Flow Store. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Joey Houston.
Good evening. I'm Joey Houston, currently the chief of the Flow Store Volunteer Fire Department. In addition to being the chief, I'm also a Cabarrus County resident, and I'm also a resident of the area affected by the district changes the Flow Store District. As a representative of Flow Store Volunteer Fire Department, we are not opposed to changes, but we are opposed to the changes as they have been proposed. There are some changes that can be made that are positive for everyone. A change of this magnitude should be well thought out, and all the effects of those changes should be considered, including the financial impacts, which we've talked about, to all the fire departments, the residents, and how those changes will affect the overall service delivery. The proposed changes are based solely on the county fire study, which does not take into account any of those effects caused by the district changes. It lacks the adjustments to compensate for those negative effects as well. There are changes that can be made that will improve service across the board, but these are not those changes. A huge consequence of the district change, obviously we've talked about, is the revenue loss for Flow Store Volunteer Fire Department. Not to throw some more numbers out there, we've kind of thrown a lot of numbers out there, but just kind of to throw it out there again. For next fiscal year, our proposed budget for Flow Store with no district changes is $592,000. With the changes, our budget goes down to $265,000. Our current staffing costs, which is basically pay, payroll taxes, and insurance for those paid people alone, is $279,000 for this current year. Obviously, that's more than funding for, if with the district changes approved, that would be more than the current funding. The $279,000 does not even include the regular operational costs for the fire department. So not only are the residents that are moved to other areas going to pay a higher fire tax just because those areas have a higher fire tax than we currently do, the residents remaining in the Flow Store District will have to pay for the budget shortfall, which is actually $327,000. That loss in revenue will have to be made up by either higher taxes or we will have to cut our services. The result is everyone in the area paying more for the stations and services that are already in place. This move does not improve overall service for the area, but does require more money from all residents in this area just to keep the services that are already there. One of the issues with the whole process is how the district changes are made in this county. If Cabarrus County follows state law as written and 2/3 of the people that were affected agreed to these changes, we will not be here. We respect the vote of the people. The people want to change, that's their vote. The special act that Cabarrus County operates under is different than state law, and it's taken away the freedom of the property owners to choose, and it's taken away the checks and balances of the process. Again, we are not opposed to changes. We are just opposed to the changes as they have been presented. So, thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Gerald McElroy.
Good evening. I'm Gerard McElroy. I'm the president of Flow Store Board of Directors. I stand here before you to plead with you that we do not go through these changes. Yes, we bought property to do a second station. No, we did not do this just because we wanted to do it. We did it because it's for the community. We did this to help save money, to improve our response time. No, we did not pay $550 for it. We paid less than $400 for the house. We took a loan for $550, yes, and that covers the building. So we talk about how Flow Store keeps getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. When we were at the first initial fire marshal's meeting where he called us in the office, we went through, boundary changes. I said we were going to probably still go forward with building the substation. I was told with opposition from Steve Langer, no, I'll make sure it does not go through planning. This is professionalism. Thank you. So with that being said, we will do our utmost best to do what we can for the residents of Flow Store, including Porter's Landing and Cedarvale. Is this easy for us to do? No. Should it come on our shoulders? No. it should be the decision of those people. Not just, I'm sorry, but it should not just be from you guys. Has there been a financial impact study to see what's going to happen? Has there? I don't think so. Everyone relies on that fire study more than they rely on the Bible. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Michael Neely.
Hi, thank you for your time. My name's Mike Neely. I'm a resident of Cabarrus County. My driver's license has a heart on it and the word veteran, so thank you, sir. That was an amazing talk this evening. There's a lot's been said already. I am a resident of Porter's Landing, which is part of the redistricting area, currently part of the Flow Store Fire District, and I will be in Midland if this proposal goes through. And I really just want to talk about just a basic thought in my head. I think these graphics are spectacular, and I would invite you to look at the little pockets of blue that creep down towards the Midland Fire Station on this map. I'm going to be 60 later this week, so I can't really see, but I have looked at these maps up close at the last meeting that we had for a question and answer, and you'll find that there are very few homes in those little pockets. That these maps were drawn specifically to grab neighborhoods that have high density, and that's why all of those dollars are coming away from Flow Store. And just a few neighborhoods are taking away several $100,000, over 60% of their revenues. I think the argument that this is all about service is absolutely moot and false, and that this is a money grab, pure and simple, for the incorporated areas of the county to absorb more funding so that they can do more, and leaving the rest of the county kind of behind. And although I'm in one of those neighborhoods, and I do pay more taxes than the average per year, and I'm not worried about paying more at Midland, a few cents more per thousand. I think Midland's probably a great fire department, just like Flow Store is. I'd like you to think about representing the entire county when you think about this vote, in the sense that those people that are out there in that blue, whose houses aren't maybe worth as much per, and that there are less of, and the impact of the taxes are going to be on them, the people that aren't in the incorporated areas or the municipal areas of the county, like Harrisburg, like Midland, and other places. I hope that you will act as county commissioners, to the republic for which it stands. You guys are representatives of all of us, not just the few who live in some of these higher end neighborhoods, and that you would think about this decision absolutely with them in mind, because there's going to be a drastic impact to those people's finances, and I don't want to see them get left behind. I think this isn't about service. It's a matter of seconds from a service perspective, and this is really just a grab of hundreds of thousands of dollars per year to fund one station stronger or two stations stronger than the others. And I think that that's a shameful thing. Anyway, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Madeline Williams.
Hi, everyone. As you said, my name is Madeline Williams. I'm here to speak on three things about the proposed fire redistricting plan. The first point I would like to make is about the data used in this study. It was pulled from July of 2013 to July of 2019. The population of Cabarrus County in 2013 was 187,000, and in 2019 it was 216,000. This growth is represented by a 15.5% increase. Today our population is 231,000. This represents a 6.9% increase since 2019 alone. According to the Charlotte News and Observer in 2021, Cabarrus County is the fastest growing county in the region with a 27% growth rate. The article also noted that this is the third greatest growth rate in the state. With these numbers in mind, I would like you all to consider how absurd it is to use data that was 7 years old at the time the survey was completed. The rapid growth of our county and its fire needs cannot and should not be quantified with data that is between 3 and 9 years old. The second point I would like to make is about some of the concerns raised by the fire department members in the survey that was sent out. The information was taken from pages 61 through 64 of the study for reference. The biggest concern raised by the fire department members was the lack of support and communication between emergency management and the fire marshal's office and volunteer departments. The reason I included the emergency manager in this statement is since he was the fire marshal at the time and has since been promoted to the emergency manager, even though there were several concerns expressed about him by the fire department members in the study. I feel this lack of support can be further displayed in the proposed redistricting, since there was nothing included in the study about how the recommended changes would impact volunteer departments and their funding. Another concerning factor brought up in this study was how many members felt that there was favoritism between the fire marshal's office and certain departments. Our emergency manager and fire marshal are here for the purpose of the protection of the people who live in Cabarrus County, not for favoritism. These issues are much more pressing than the redistricting, and I hope that they will be addressed quickly. My last point is about how this is going to impact the people in the town of Harrisburg, where I currently live. From my understanding, Harrisburg Fire Department, Station 3 is occasionally out of service due to staffing issues. I have also heard that the Harrisburg chief has had to staff the truck at Station 3. These may just be rumors, I don't know, but I have heard these from pretty reliable sources, I will say. As a Harrisburg resident, this is very concerning to me, and what further adds to the concern is the fact that we are here discussing the possibility of adding to Station 3's response area when it is clear that there are not enough staff to adequately respond to calls in the current area. This is dangerous, and we residents, we deserve better, and I implore you guys to vote against this fire redistricting. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Andy Carver.
Good afternoon. My name's Andy Carver. I live in the Cedarville Farm neighborhood. Seems like all the points that I was going to make have already been made for the redistricting of the fire department.
Great, thank you. Our next speaker is Larry Coley.
Good evening. My name is Larry Coley. I'm the CEO of Midland Fire Department. Notice I said CEO. Fire Chief, and that's the same thing, same title. I represent Midland Fire Department, the citizens of Midland. There's a lot of facts being thrown out here tonight. I'm not going to get into the emotional aspects of it all. I deal off facts and figures solely. That's how I make my decisions. We're good stewards of the money. When we purchase a piece of equipment, we have a check and balance system. We go through to decide if we're going to buy that piece of equipment. I do want to tell you one little bit about the history that I've heard tonight. In 2005, the OSFM did an inspection of Midland and Flow Store's area on the area in question. They thought they had passed the inspection. 2 days later, they got a notification from OSFM they had failed the inspection because they were outside the 5 and 6 mile range. The Flow Store Board and the Board of Midland Fire Department had a joint meeting in 2005. At that time, Flow Store Fire Department decided they did not want to purchase or put any money into a new station. So the citizens of Midland who paid the fire tax there they put $1.47 million into a fire station and a fire truck to service that area to save those people's insurance. 13 years has went by. We have received no income from that. 2 major fires in the area in 3 years we were first in. Used our equipment, our people to fight that fire. I'm going to move on to something more positive. That's the facts of the nature of run off numbers. What I want to get into is something a little bit more positive now is what we're going to do with the additional income. I had a young lady ask me that question from Cedarville. So at the current level of service right now, I don't know, a lot of people know about Midland. We run, I'm there from 7 in the morning to 3 o'clock. I have 2 deputy chiefs that work 30 hours a week. I have a battalion chief on duty 24/7. We offer 2 captains, 2 drivers, and 2 firefighters at both stations. And we have just purchased a 2019 aerial platform for Station 1. The engine for Cedarville has already been purchased in October of last year and is on the way. So they'll have a brand new engine company to service that area. It's on the way from them. We believe in redundancy, so we have a backup for everything, which is being good stewards of the service to the people. So we have a redundancy in engines. We have one backup for everyone that fails. So we don't have a lack in service. The one thing that I will point out that's highlighted to me in the current service is we purchased 2 auto pulses. Those 2 pieces of equipment cost us $36,000. We didn't buy one, we bought 2 before anybody else had it. It gives us, that person with that CPR asked, when Jim asked who's coming to his house, that's who I don't want come to my house because it gives you 17% more chance of survival. We spend the money on the people. That's where the money's going. So the next 5 years, I'm gonna wrap this up real quick, 'cause I'm running out of time, what you can expect for that return on that investment. We're going to be hiring full-time people. We've already met with the town manager today, and we've working out some attorney issues as far as legalities, and we're hiring 6 drivers for Midland. We purchased new equipment, and we're also going heavy rescue on the south end as far as you can go to service back. That service will be reflected back to the county as needed. We will not keep it in Midland. We'll send it out as needed. The same thing with the auto posts. We'll send it out. We share our equipment with people as they need it. We're going to also expand our swiftwater operation with Georgeville Fire Department 2023 and 24 budget. And we are also seeking a grant to further move our training site, which is a state certified training site for people there. We don't charge them to come, and they can come for free. We offer that to everybody that touches us. We're writing a grant to have a 4-story burn building there. So we do serve other people other than ourselves. But the fact of the matter is we're closer, and that's what the study's about. And the revenue that we lost for 13 years, we haven't asked for it back. We're not asking now, just to correct the problem. So, thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Doug Paris.
Thank you, Commissioners, for the opportunity to speak. First, I want to thank county staff who have done an excellent job on communications and outreach on the proposed changes. Second, I want to talk numbers. There are over 1,500 property owners affected by the change before you tonight. I've only encountered 14 against the change. Out of 1,500 property owners, this is a less than 1% complaint rate, which is exceptional when it comes to any change in government. Third, in my 7 years as town manager of Midland, I've experienced 0 individuals complain about the 10-cent fire tax in Midland. On a $350,000 home, the difference between Flow Store and Midland fire tax comes to 28 cents per day. That's the cost of a blow pop with tax at the gas station. It's negligible. Fourth, I want to share with you that I find the complaints from Flow Store Fire Department about 10 cents being too high for this area disingenuous in light of the fact that the Flow Store Fire Department has acknowledged on their website that they will need a 2 to 3 cent tax increase in the near future to fully staff their proposed Station 2. Think about that for a second. This means Flow Store plans to request from you in the future a fire tax increase for themselves to a tax rate similar to the one they are trying to make a political issue tonight, and it is not a political issue. Regarding redistricting, yes, Flow Store will get less money, but remember, and this hasn't been brought up yet, they will also be answering significantly less calls for service after the change. It balances out. Further, not moving forward with the change will result in the worst case outcome. Let me tell you why. Flow Store Fire District is shrinking. Midland alone has done 26 voluntary annexations, totaling 1,736 acres in the last 5 years, the majority in Flow Store Fire District. Within 5 years, we'll have the location of the proposed second station surrounded completely by the town limits. The worst thing you can do when your district is shrinking is load it up with more debt and more costs spread over less and less people. A second Flow Store fire station will do just that. It's a recipe for a future that is not financially sustainable. As the district shrinks further, which is inevitable, you will need to raise the fire tax in Flow's district beyond 15 cents to keep both stations afloat. This is not allowed by state statute. At that point, one of the 2 stations will have to be shut down and the district will need to merge. And no one will want to pick up the debt and the financial liabilities that were incurred in the interim period. It'll be a mess. If you redistrict tonight, all of that can be avoided. The changes before you tonight are the right path. The town of Midland asks for your approval of this item. Thank you.
Thank you. That is all of the yellow cards that have been turned in, unless we miss somebody, and it doesn't appear that we have. So if there's no one else that wishes to speak, yes, sir. Please approach the podium.
Again, my name is Mr. Roland Jordan, a concerned citizen. The fire chief is very knowledgeable what he's talking about. I can hear, and the old man, God call it old because they know the way. I know 3-4 of the commissioners up there, besides Ms. Barber, and y'all make good decisions. Save life, heart attacks, strokes, a house burning down. That's the key tonight. Timing is very important. Take that into consideration, however you make the decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak before we close the public hearing? Yes, sir? If you would approach the podium and state your name, please.
Okay, William Lippa. I'm a 17-year resident of Cabarrus County and a part of the Flow Store service area. And today I'm kind of listening to this. I didn't come here anything prepared or with any, decisions. But what I'm hearing today was a perfect example that if given enough numbers, I can prove anything but the truth. And that's what I'm hearing, manipulation of numbers, examples of old data. I'm also, if you look at the charts and the way it was pointed out about certain segments, they said that everything was cut in the middle, half of the way. Is that, first of all, I seriously doubt that you would have those richer pockets pulled into other areas if it was actually done that way. Is deciding the closest, cutting a line in half, the best way to redistribute the areas? I don't know. That's an exercise I learned how to do in the 8th grade, and I don't know if that's a necessary skill to design a fire map. Second point I'd like to point out is the raise in taxes. Everybody inside this room can afford the raise, but in the past I had the opportunity to drive for Meals on Wheels, and that is where you really get to see the people that this little, only is not affordable. It's going to hit them. It's going to impact them. Any tax hike at this point is really irresponsible. The federal government has said they're not going to raise taxes. The state government right now is looking to suspend the collection of the gas tax to help out the citizens, and we're here, expecting us to pay more taxes locally. And this is being put on us by people who are our neighbors, our friends, people that you see every day that you're going to be putting this tax on. I'd like to give, that kind of consideration to it also. With that, I'll give you a minute back. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that desires a chance to speak before we close the public hearing?
Can you speak again? Or is it once?
I'm sorry?
Can you speak again, or is it once?
Once. Everybody gets 3 minutes.
Thank
Right. Okay. Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. And commissioners, you've heard a lot of information here. So what would be your pleasure at this time? And
Mr.
we
Chairman,
can either have a motion and then have discussion, or we can have some informal discussion prior.
Well, you
I'm
want to do
sorry, I
it?
interrupted
That's
you.
all right. Do you want to do informal discussion before? You want to see if we've got a motion, or what do you
Whatever
want to
is
do?
pleasure of the board.
Okay. Well, let me just rattle off a little bit, and then we'll, go from there. Being in my seat is not always easy. Some of the decisions we make, as you've seen earlier, they just like that, but we'd worked on it for weeks before we just do that. This issue here has really been going on for several years. And this most recent study that was done, Cabarrus County once again paid $40,000, if my memory serves me correct, to conduct that survey. And it's just sort of like going to the doctor, guys. If you go to the doctor and you got a problem and he gives you a prescription for it, well, it's up to you to take it. If you want to get better, take it and move on. Or just forget about it, and you could have saved you money. Well, the same thing with this study that we've done. And I've been in several situations where we have to incorporate community members to do a job and then bring us a recommendation back. But if they bring us a recommendation and we don't adhere to it, then why did we do that to start with? Why did we spend $40,000 in this case to get a fire study done? Now, I feel like I'm sitting in the middle of Congress, to be honest with you, because I feel like I got the Democrats on one side, which is one fire department, and I got the Republicans on the other side, which is another fire department. And truthfully, it's not about that. It's not about that at all. It's about what's right for the citizens of Cabarrus County. Some's going to pay more. I don't know that any will pay less, especially after Mr. Coley spoke about Midland. They'll obviously get revenue that they haven't been getting for all of these years. That revenue went to Flow Store, to my understanding. But yet Midland done the firefighting and all that. And speaking of that, the firefighters are a very special, brave group of men. And in some cases, maybe some women. I've lived right there at Allen Fire Department all my life, and I know the dedication to those. I could tell you some stories that you probably couldn't match, about how dedicated the firemen are when it comes, I don't know if the fire whistles go off anymore. We got radios and all now, but we used to have a fire whistle down at Allen, and it'd go off, and you'd see cars coming from everywhere with the lights on and some of them hanging off the side of the road and that kind of thing. So they're dedicated firefighters and dedicated people. But this here is about public safety. And obviously, the closest to the fire department obviously should have a better response time than ones that would maybe be a little bit further. And I know that where I live, Allen is right on the corner of Flow Store and 601, and just a mile further up there is Concord Fire Department. So they're real close. But the difference is one's in the county, one's in the city. So I've never seen a city fire department coming out to the county. But I would imagine we've had county going into the city to help, for multiple alarm fires. But to make a long story short, Mr. Chairman, I don't want to drag this out. I don't think we need to kick the can down the road any further. I think that we need to just go ahead and draw the line. Everybody adjust to what they got to do to make what they got work. And I am for the study to be approved. And if you would like for me to, Mr. Chairman, I can make a motion, and then we'll see if we got a second to that. And if we do, then there could be more discussion. But if not, we vote and everybody goes home, and we'll just do the best we can with what we got. And so that'd be up to you, Mr. Chairman.
So that is at your discretion, if you would.
Okay, well, in that case, I would like to make the motion to consider approval to move forward with submitting the fire study survey changes, proposed changes, sent to the North Carolina Office of the State Fire Marshal for final review. And so that would be the motion. And so if there's a second, we can carry on. If not, we can move on to the next subject.
Okay, Commissioners.
Thank you. And then once again, thank all of you for coming. Thank you for showing your support of your fire department. I really do appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioners, we have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I just have a few comments. First, thank you
Well,
all
we
for
first
coming.
of all need to get either
gonna
a
go to
second or then we can move to discussion.
That's right. Sorry. Yes, I will make a motion to second that. Sorry.
Thank you, and
No,
now
go on
we'll
to that.
open the floor for discussion. Please go right ahead.
Okay, so I had a couple concerns, and I did a lot of research on this myself. I spoke to several residents on both sides of this situation. I've talked to fire marshals, pulled some data, and looking at this, obviously, saving lives is number one. Whether it's 2 seconds, 30 seconds, that makes an impact, a big impact. So that is my first goal, obviously, to take care of these citizens in Cabarrus County. If it costs us 25 cents an extra a day to have that service brought to your home, wherever you might live in the county, I think it's money well spent, and just stay out of the Starbucks drive-through. Sourcing, for Flow Store, I've had some concerns with that. With no change, I have some concerns about how they're going to fund the new station, the new apparatuses, the staff that. I don't know if we would have enough actual extra revenue in that 592 that they spoke of to do that. And at some point, they're going to have to raise their taxes. I don't think they can sustain that. And I've seen in some of the data that I've received, there's a mutual aid report given out annually. And annually, Flo Harris has picked up a good portion Midland has picked up a good portion of Flo Store. And it has increased over the years dramatically. And, that raises a little bit of red flags to me. Why can't why is Flo Store not being able to get there, and why do they need mutual aid on additional calls? So I do have some concerns, and I do understand where both sides of the equation are coming from. And in good conscience, I've got to put lives first. Whether it's 25 cents a day extra, that's worth it to me. And I think, not going forward with this would be irresponsible. And I don't know if I could sleep at night with knowing that 30 seconds was the difference between life and death.
Thank you. Other discussion? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I do want to make a couple comments. And as I look out in the room and the people that are here, I'm always in awe of anybody that runs toward danger. And we've got a room full of people that's what they do on a daily basis. And what makes this incredibly difficult is we've got people of that caliber and that nature on both sides that want something different. And, we can't, there's not a middle ground where we can find where, okay, everybody's going to go home happy. And so I hope it doesn't sound trite. I am incredibly indebted to every one of your service, whether you're in Midland, whether you're in Flo Store, whether you're in Harrisburg, where I am, paying the highest rate possible. What you all do on a daily basis is phenomenal. The part that I've been struggling with since we started was, and I don't know if our clerk can put the current district, can we put that up? But the map is illogical. There's a station next to a line, and that's really where the rubber meets the road of what we're trying to correct. That, Lauren, if you can easily, that's great. If not, yeah, there we go. So it's hard to see, but there's a station right next to in the orange that's right next to the blue, and that part it's when you're trying to get the lines correct to increase response time. I think and I think Commissioner Strunk said it very well. That's really, when you get down to it, that's what you guys are charged to do. And I know that I know you take your jobs. It's not just a job. It's a passion. A lot of you volunteer, and so we appreciate what you do. I guess I feel like we need to do something to sort of correct the map. The revenue part is a little bit concerning. And I want to thank many of you for taking the time to sit down and speak with me, because I did do that. The revenue piece is a little concerning, but I think I think Commissioner Shue said as we move forward, it's just something that we'll have to work out, and it'll have to just work itself out. And it's budget time. It'll be coming back for us. We'll be hearing from all the districts here in the next couple weeks. So, Mr. Chairman, I yield back to you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Just like to say thank you to all of the firefighters that are here present tonight. The really important part of what we're talking about, we're talking about volunteers. And that's people that give of their time and compromise their personal safety to take care of other folks. And that's what is most important in my mind is public safety, protecting the lives and property of our Cabarrus County citizens. Even though we're talking about, and we have many very unselfish volunteers in our audience tonight, as well as many others across the county that assume these responsibilities for no personal gain for themselves. And I sincerely appreciate that. Although we've also heard tonight, we've heard a lot of discussion about paid positions and the requirements that our volunteer fire departments are having to meet as we face a very changing population and a very changing society. And these are conversations that during the period of time that I've served on this board that we have had many times, and I think we will have many more conversations as our population continues to evolve and change. One of our speakers tonight did a very good job of pointing out the population changes that we're experiencing here in the county. And we've heard projections of what we can expect over the next 30 years, and we're going to continue growing. That's not going to stop. We hear, I've been engaged in a lot of conversations where folks talk about, and Commissioner Shue mentioned a little bit about when the fire whistle would go off or the siren. And we had people that were in an agricultural community. They worked on their farms or on their property, and when the fire alarm went off, everybody stopped what they're doing and ran to the fire. And that served us well for many, many years. We have a population that's very different from that now, and I'm preaching to the choir. All of you know that, and the challenges. If you live in Cabarrus County and you work on the other side of the county, that system doesn't work. You can't leave your job and get back to your home area in time. So we have to look at different ways of doing things, and that we appreciate you guys hanging in there and continuing to serve your community in the way that you do. And somebody asked me about this over the weekend, and I said, our goal is to try to preserve that volunteer service that we've appreciated for so many years, and to make the changes that we have to make to continue to make that work. So that's a very long way of saying thank you. I recognize your service to our community, and I appreciate it, and I'm sure that there are many, many citizens in this county that feel that way and even stronger. It's like I tell our EMS guys when they come to talk to us about things, I say, you are the last person that I ever want to see pull up in my driveway, but when I need you, you're the best person to see pull up. So thank you very much. Commissioners, is there other discussion before we move to a vote?
I will just take a moment to reiterate. I'll give you my thanks to each of you and tell you that in 8 years, going on 8 years, this is without a doubt the most difficult decision to make, because you always want to try to find a win-win for everyone. And in this case, that is really difficult, and I feel the pain of the Flow Store people. When I look out in this audience at all the different faces, there's nobody out there who looks happy. I will tell you, there's nobody that looks happy. And it's a very difficult decision, and so just thank you for you all being here tonight, and appreciate your words, and thank you.
Okay. Thank you. If there's no other discussion, we will move to a vote. We do have a motion and a second on the floor. The motion is to consider approval to move forward with submitting the proposed changes to the North Carolina Office of State Fire Marshal for final review. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say no. That motion passes. Okay, and we move now to item G5 from Planning and Development. Request to consider changing the name of Maravee Drive to Miller Park Drive. And Susie Morris will talk to us before we have a public hearing on this item.
Good evening. As you may recall, we discussed this item 2 months ago. This is a request to change a street name from Maravee Drive to Miller Park Drive. As we discussed in the work session, there are multiple properties that are adjacent to this particular street. However, the applicant in this case is the only one whose immediate address will have to be changed. It was noticed as it needed to be, and the applicant also submitted all of the materials that needed to be submitted. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, and we will need to hold a public hearing.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Susie? All right, thank you. At this time, I'll open the public hearing on this matter and invite anybody to the podium that would like to speak. Okay, seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. And Commissioners, I would entertain a motion to consider adopting the resolution changing the street name from Maravee Drive to Miller Park Drive. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. And I will note that after 5 in a row, no more public hearings tonight. So we move now from Planning and Development, Community Development Division, a Blue Cross Shield grant, and Kelly Sifford will talk with us about that one.
Thank you. I appreciate you adding the last two items. One came in late and the other one's been a work in progress. So with the Blue Cross Blue Shield, we have been actively looking for additional funds from them, and they did call us and award us $14,725.86. So we are looking for approval of that, a grant award, allowing us to sign the agreement, which is the same agreement, we're working under the same agreement, just an extension of, and approve the attached budget amendment.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Kelly?
One quick question, Kelly. I might have asked you this before, or you might have already told us, but does this require a county match?
No, sir. I'm glad you mentioned that. I did mean to say that. We do not require a county match with this. This is fully a private grant that they are offering, and no county match required, and it does allow us to solve some additional problems in homes for safety, sometimes heating and air, sometimes plumbing issues, variety of issues.
Well, that's good, because I like those no match grants.
We like private grants too.
Yeah. Be kind of hard to justify voting against something like that. Are there other questions? If not, I would entertain a motion to accept the grant award and to adopt the associated budget amendment. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. And we move to the next item, and Kelly will talk about that one as well.
So I believe this has probably been mentioned to you in passing. Back in the fall, County Manager Downs and I were at a meeting with a number of agencies that provide homeless services, housing services throughout the county that have been working together to kind of fill in our continuum of care, make sure that we are coordinating our services and reaching goals with those services. The idea that the county needed a convener of all of these groups to continue to coordinate those services, to make sure that we are not redundant, that we are individually, I guess, providing these services and coordinating those services to provide the biggest bang for the buck. That's what kind of the group had suggested. And so this is a proposed position to address that. Currently, the Health Alliance is coordinating that, but it's kind of a temporary fix into the situation. This will be a permanent position to do that task. I don't know if County Manager has anything to add to that.
Sure, I can add. As you know, and this is one of the board's major initiatives as well, as affordable housing. This is, and we've also provided grant funding to the municipalities and several nonprofits for this. So in bringing them all together, it was quite a challenge at first because they all have different missions. Well, I take that back. They have one mission, and that's to work and improve our affordable housing in the county, but they all have different ways of getting there. And but then they also have a need, as they all have their individual interest. They need somebody that is more neutral to convene, take notes, offer suggestions, do more research for them, and get back to them and provide that research and those available funds. And as the group always seems to look at the county to be that convener, and you guys have always been willing to do so. We feel that this position will not only help this process, it will also help our existing community development program as well. So that the position would be placed into our planning and development department and working alongside our existing employees in the community development, and you've had some of those conversations tonight, but then also be the one that will organize and keep this group focused, both municipal, cities, towns, staff, as well as the nonprofit staffs that are out there that are trying to do really good things, but just need someone to help keep them organized and keep straight. So we're requesting, we had some informal conversations with each of you over the last several weeks, but this is bringing it into, to bring it to you for approval. And again, it's a new position, and it will be inside of the Planning and Development Department, working alongside with our community development staff.
The attached budget amendment is to fund that, and it is for just the remainder of this fiscal year. It would be included in the budget moving forward next year if it is approved tonight.
Okay, commissioners, do you have questions? Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Just gonna make a motion.
Please, go right ahead.
I will make a motion that we approve the creation of a county staff position and the associated budget amendment.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there discussion? I would just like to add that I think this is a totally appropriate action for the county to take, as the county manager explained very well. We do have a lot of people in the county that are engaged in these activities, and as he stated, they all have one goal, and that's try to improve the situation. The county is the logical entity that touches all of the municipalities, as well as the unincorporated areas of the county. So I feel like it's appropriate for us to step up and assume that responsibility. So I'm very much in favor of that. Does anyone else have anything to add? If not, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. That motion passes. Thank you. And I think that concludes our items of new business. My computer has decided to fail on me, so if it's not, you tell me, Lauren.
It is. Yeah. Let's see.
I think
There's the updates.
Okay, so
That's
we
what's
move
next,
now to reports.
Yeah.
Okay, and so at this time, we'll receive updates from commission members who serve as liaisons to municipalities or on various boards and committees. Does anyone have anything to report tonight?
I'm sure the senior center does.
Well, we were waiting to hear, yes.
We did have our advisory council meeting today, but they did not give me any announcements. They did have the wellness event, and it turned out great with a good turnout, and was certainly well received, and particularly after not being able to have that the last couple of years. So, yeah, that's a very active group, as we've said before.
I do think we have the kickoff for the senior games coming, and I was going to look on my calendar and see what the date is, but there will be announcements coming up. That's always a neat event. Yes, sir.
As the liaison to the Board of Education, I'd like to congratulate J.M. Robinson on a 2A state championship in basketball. And as a former high school basketball player, that's a big deal. And those guys will talk about that for the rest of their lives at every reunion they go to. So congratulations. And if you'll bear with me one minute, I have an update from town of Harrisburg. Town of Harrisburg is excited to introduce their new town manager, Rob Donham. Next Monday will be an official ribbon-cutting ceremony for the Harrisburg Pump Track that is located at Harrisburg Park. The Town of Harrisburg Parks and Rec has released the official lineup for the 2022 July 4th celebration, featuring Parmalee as the headliner, and the Harrisburg Multicultural Festival has been scheduled for Saturday, September 17th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Harrisburg Park. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
As a liaison for the town of Midland, I just wanted to let you know I did see a wonderful update on the Veterans Park that is going up quickly out there. So they are hoping that the spring plantings will go in relatively soon, and that park will be open, or that portion of the park, the Veterans Memorial, will be open early spring, beginning of summer.
Great. Thank you. Any other updates? If not, we will move to general comments from board members, if anyone has. Yes, ma'am.
I would just like to take a moment to recognize our county clerk. Commissioner Morris and I had the honor to be out at the annual convention of all 100 county clerks, and we went to 2 events out there, and we got to see our clerk installed as the treasurer for the state organization, as well as got to hear some stories about her from her mother and her brother. So now we have a little ammunition for whatever we need. So congratulations, Lauren.
Yes. Thank you for that. And yes, we're very, very proud of Lauren and really appreciate her leadership with that statewide organization. And it was refreshing to hear how highly other people think of her and agree with us.
Well, that's not surprising, because that's what we think of her as well.
Absolutely. Okay, any other general comments? If not, we do have need of a closed session tonight, so at this time, I would entertain a motion to go into closed session as authorized by North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11, A3, 4, and 5. Okay, we have a motion and a second to go in closed session. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes, and we are now in closed session. Thank you to our viewing audience for joining us tonight, and we will see you again next month. Thank you.